I managed to smash an Echo Park mega pad with 48 sheets, and I got a ton of cards from it. Hey, it's Beth. Welcome. This is the Smash Those Small Pad collaboration that I do with my friend Sarah, who's crafting and relaxing here on YouTube, and Kathy, who is Stampin' Cat over on Instagram. And each month we just pick a pad smaller than 12 by 12 and work through it until it's gone. So this month I decided to tackle a mega pad from Echo Park. So it's 48 sheets, 6 by 6, and I've been wanting to do it for a while, but I don't know, I was kind of intimidated by the number of sheets. But I decided to pull it out this month. I had quite a few projects in mind that I could do with it, and so I managed to finish it off in the month of April. So let's kind of go through what I did. This is just a project share, but I have process videos for almost all of these cards. So I will have a playlist in the description box below and at the end of the video for you. If you missed any of the projects, you can go back and see them. But the most recent thing I did was Kendra's Card Challenge 14. And even though her challenge makes 15 cards, I have 16 because at the beginning of the month when we did our design team hop kicking off the new card challenge, I also used some paper from this pad. So just a quick flip through. These were the 15 cards that I was able to make. I pulled in other cardstock scraps and die cuts from my stash, so I did use a bunch of other items in addition to the pad. But it was fun doing this challenge as well as getting to use up a bunch of die cuts and stuff from my stash. So that's the first thing. And by the way, I don't know if I said it, but I made 68 cards from this pad. So that was good. But then I kicked off my no scrap sketch sets this month using this pad. I thought that would be a good way to work through it. So I have, again, there's a video on each of these. And I did at least 1 or 2 sets of each sketch, and then at the very end I did have some scraps left over because of the Kendra's Card Challenge, especially like when I did this one. I just made this card, and so I had scraps left from this, and so I kind of just went through and see what scraps I had and which of my sketches would work. So sketch number 1 worked for quite a few. I believe these were the ones that I did in my video when I kicked it off. And then these are the ones that I ended up making at the end with scraps. So I have a couple of extra layers on here. Again, just trying to use up the scraps that I had. I had punch stars from things. I had some of those left over. So a bunch of cards from sketch number 1. Sketch number 2, I have a ton of cards because I made a couple of sets and then again did some from scraps. So this was a scrap card at the end. Because I also combined, I had some full sheets left as well that I combined with the scraps I had, so that's why there's this many that I was able to make at the end. But again, was just pulling in die cuts from my stash. And then in the beginning, I also had the chipboard ephemera that went with the pad, and I was only able to use a few things on my cards. I wasn't counting that as part of my smash, but I was able to pull in a few as some embellishments on the cards. But the rest of those I will save. I think they would be better for scrapbook pages anyway. But this is sketch 2 that goes with my sketch set 2. Bunch of those. Sketch set number 3 also made 2 different cards, and so I did use I used both of the sketches on set 3 to make some scrap cards as well. I did a lot of Mother's Day and Father's Day cards just because Mother's Day is not that far away. Crazy that time has gone that fast. And this was the sketch 2. Sometimes, like when I was working with the scraps and the pieces I had left at the end, I did bring in some bits to cover the center and some extra embellishments. Again, just trying to use up that paper. That was 2. Got lots of cards to try and move out of the way here. And then sketch set 4. I didn't do any scrap cards from this one, but I did do a couple sets when I did my video. I did one on camera with you and then did one off camera just to show you a different like variation of papers and styles. So 68 cards from this pad. I feel like that is a good number of cards from 48 sheets that I started with. And then in the end, this was a pad that had, I think my pad is buried, but it had the strip across the top that had the hole like to hang it if somebody chose. And so I did have some of those strips left because it wasn't always like clean edges and trying to trim those down. Plus I had enough scraps to work with as it was. So I did have some of these, the kind of like what you would call the branding strips left. And then as far as actual scraps from cutting the 6x6 part down, this is what I had left. And I was like, going to call that good and recycle all of these bits. So 68 cards, 48 sheets, lots of good sketches used, and managed to work through this pretty quickly. Again, the playlist for all of the videos that I used for this pad will be linked below. Be sure to check out Sarah and Kathy. Thank you all so much for your time and hope you all have a very crafty day.